This is going to be a really quick demo for creating an animated GLB file or GLTF file in Blender and then triggering that animation with an action in Godot. So here we are in Blender and we're going to start. We're going to select our cube and then we're going to press Control or Command I to select everything but the cube and hit X and delete those things. So we just have a cube here. And now with this cube, we're going to go ahead and press G for grab, Z for Z axis, hold down the control key. Even if you're on a Mac, you want to use control key here so it snaps to the surface. And now we'll press Control or Command A and apply all transforms. And we can see that our origin point has dropped to the bottom of this cube. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to press G for grab again, this time Y for Y axis, and hold down the control key again so the cube snaps to one side. All right, looking pretty good. So now we just want to have the same one mirrored on the other side. We could use the mirror modifier, but this is such a simple operation, we're just going to build it. So we'll press Shift and D for duplicate. We'll press Y for Y axis again, hold down the control key, and just snap it so our two cubes are right next to each other. So we're just going to make some basic sliding doors here. We're not going to pivot it or anything like that. This is really just about triggering the animation. All right, now that we have that, we're going to press A for select all. We're going to press S for scale and X for X-axis and just kind of flatten these out so that they're closer, so that they are more like doors. Now I'll press S and Y-axis and we'll shrink them in towards each other. So now we have kind of like a nice little doorway. Because our origins are at the bottom, we can also press S and Z. So you notice I'm doing all these transforms separately for maximum control. And now we've got our doorway. And if we check our item settings, we can see that our door is 2.8 meters tall, which seems good for a door. Great. All right, so we just want these doors to slide open when triggered. So I'm going to select the doors again. I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to drag up my timeline a little bit so I can see it. And hovering over the doors, I'm going to press the letter K on the keyboard. If you're using an older version of Blender, like before 4, you should press I on the keyboard, but in this case, we're going to press K. We're going to choose to insert a keyframe for location and location only. Great, so we can see our little keyframe there. Now I'm going to take this timeline and I'm going to scrub it over to 50. And we can open these doors individually, or another thing we can do is we can search spacebar, or if you don't have that enabled, that will be F3 on your keyboard. And we're going to type push, and here we have this option push pull, and you can see as we move the mouse, it just kind of pushes these things away from each other or pulls them towards each other. So we'll just push them away from each other till it just looks like a good opening in the middle. That's fine. Again, simplicity is key here. That's great. And now I'll press the letter K again and set keyframe for location. And if we rewind our scene and press play, there we go. The door is open, no problem. Okay. So just for fun, I kind of want to make these doors a little bouncy. So down here in the timeline, hovering the mouse, and I'll press A. So now I've selected both keyframes, and I'm going to press the letter T. We've got some different types of time interpolation here. I'm going to do this option bounce. And now you can see when the door's open, they kind of bounce a little bit at the end. And I think that looks nice. All right. So we're going to press the hovering in the 3D space. We'll press the letter Z and we're going to choose the option material preview. Still got both doors selected. That's great. I'm going to go to the little material properties section. We've got a default material here. If you don't, you can click on this little plus thing right here. And I'm going to make my doors kind of a dark green color. You can make them whatever color you want, of course. Doesn't really matter. I just want them to be something. And just for fun, I'll also make them metallic. Now, I'll rewind to the beginning. Something I don't like is that if we look at these doors, they just kind of look like one block if they're not selected. I'm going to press A to select these again. By the way, if both materials don't get turned green, you can press Command L and link materials. But because we duplicated these from each other, the materials should already be linked. I want the doors to just have a little bit more going for them. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control A. And here for the app apply section, I'm not going to apply all transforms because that'll screw up my animation. I'm going to apply scale. So just the scale is applied. And now I'm going to go to modifiers. I'm going to add modifier. I'm going to search for bevel. And you can see it only does it to one of them. That's okay. I'm going to add it to 2 segments, maybe 3 segments. That looks nice. And now here I'm going to press Control or Command L. and we'll choose this option, copy modifiers. So they both have the same modifier. I'm also going to go ahead and right click on this and shade auto smooth. So now our doors just look a little nicer and we're ready to export. So still have both selected. We're going to go to File, Export, GLTF, and we want to export it to the folder where they're supposed to go. In this case, I know that my Godot project that we're heading towards is in this 2025 template folder. So I'm just going to put it right here. I'm going to call it doors. And for the include section, we're going to choose selected objects. Now we will close that. For the data section, remember we applied this bevel modifier. So we're going to go to mesh. We're going to click on apply modifiers here so that the modifier actually translates to the export. Next, we're going to do the drop down on animation. And here for animation mode, we're going to click active actions merged. This means that one door going left and the other going right are just part of one animation. And notice if we scroll all the way down, now we have this word animation here because we've merged them. That's fine, but I want to change the name of it to open. And I'm purposefully going to type this all lowercase. And now I will hit export, and there we go. All right, so having done this, I've got my folder here, and here's the doors I exported. And I actually want them to be inside this project, but we will drag it in there manually in a moment. So we'll open that Godot project now. Okay, so here is our default Godot start project. It's a good idea to start with a new template, so you can either download the zip again or go decompress the zip again to get the file out. All right, so here we have our scene. So this thing called sub viewport is kind of our mirror in the scene, and we're going to get rid of this. We don't need it for this scene. So I'm going to select the sub viewport. I'm going to hold shift and select everything inside it. Then I'm going to press control or command and delete, and there it'll delete all that stuff. Great. Now we're also going to go to this one, the sample pickable ball. We don't need that either. So we'll press command delete again, and we'll delete that. So we've got kind of a basic scene. So here we have our various assets, and here we have the hierarchy of our scene. Whoops, sorry. So going back to our folder, here's our doors GLB that we exported. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to drag it right into the asset section. You can put it in a specific folder if you want, but I'm just going to drop it right down here. And that has imported very quickly. And there it is, doors GLB. And we don't have any special materials for it because we didn't give it an image-based material or anything like that. All right, so now that we have the doors, we're going to click on those doors and we're going to drag them up to main. And that drops them right in the middle of the scene. And that's good. You can see they're right on top of us. That's okay. We're going to right click on the doors or two finger click on the trackpad. And we're going to go down the menu to this option right below me, make local. Now you can see the whole hierarchy is there. So we can select one door, the other door, they're just called cube here. And we got the animation player that has our animation. We're going to click on this node that parents all of them. And we're going to just simply send that node out so it's a good distance in front of the player. And then we'll rotate it so it faces the player. Now you can hold down shift, or I think it's control actually, to snap the rotation. I think just it's actually kind of nice if this isn't perfectly aligned. So I'm just going to leave it a little misaligned here. All right. So now what we want to happen is we want these doors to kind of open automatically as we approach them. So to do that, we're going to click on the main node up here, and we're going to press Control or Command plus. Sorry, Control or Command A. Whoops. Sorry about that. Not plus, Command A for add. And in here, we're going to type the word area. And we're just going to create a default area 3D. Now, right off the bat, you can see our area 3D has a little warning sign. And if I hover over that, it says this node has no shape, it can't collide, so it needs a collider. So selecting area 3D, maybe I'll rename it real quick so we remember what it is. So I'll leave the original name and then I'll add open doors so we know what it does. And now with that selected, I'm going to press Command A or Control A again. And I'm going to type collision here. We'll add collision shape 3D. There we go. And you can see the collision shape still has a warning. We can highlight that. The shape must be provided. All right. So here in the inspector section, next to shape, it says empty. So we'll click on that and we'll choose a new shape. I'm going to go with capsule. All right. So now I'm going to rotate my scene so I have a good view. And I'm not going to click on the collision shape. I'm going to click on the area itself. This is really important. You want to click on the right part of the hierarchy. And now I'll click on the gizmo to move this whole thing forward. And I'm just going to kind of move it at an angle where I can actually see that collision shape because it's a little hard to see. It's got kind of a capsule outline on it. I'll lift that up. If you can't see it well, that is okay because it's not that much bigger than the gizmo itself. But we want to make sure it's lifted off the ground so that the capsule doesn't go into the floor, but that it is not too high that you can't collide with it. So now we'll move that forward a little bit, and we're getting really close. So now that we have that done, we want to set this animation player to trigger our animation. So here we can see the animation player down here, and it's got an animation player and it's called open. And if I press play, the doors open and they bounce a little at the end. Perfect. Beautiful. All right, stop. So we want that to open when we walk through this little area here. So the first thing we're going to need to do is add a script to the animation player. So we'll go to the animation player here and we'll right click and we'll choose this option, attach script. And we can go with the default name, but I'm just going to add at the beginning open doors because, if we were doing more scripts here, it would be good to be able to keep track of what's going on here. So now we'll hit create. And now we are in our script view. And this is a good moment to mention that in Godot, anytime you've got these views up here, you can switch between the asset library, script view, 3D view, and 2D view. So in the script, here we have our animation player script. We're going to go ahead and highlight everything except the beginning extends animation player and just hit backspace or delete. We don't need any of that. So we'll just leave it blank like that. And we're going to leave the script opened. So now here in the scene, we're going to click on Area 3D Open Doors. We've selected that now. So here we have the inspector, but we're going to go up to the next to there's some tabs, node history. We're going to click on node. And now we have all these different little functions that are already built into this. And one of them is body enter. That means something entered it. Any object can be a body, whether it's a static body, a dynamic body, a player, anything. So we're going to double click on that. And now we're going to find our animation player. There it is. We're going to click connect. And boom, we've got some code right here. Beautiful. So now we'll just highlight this whole thing that says pass. We'll press backspace. And really simple code here. We're just going to type the word play. And then we're going to make a little bracket. And inside that bracket, we'll make a little quote. And now it's already knows what we want to do because we only have one animation in there. It's like, hey, do you want to use open? And the answer is yes. We can double click on that. And now it's in there. So we have attached a script. So now we can go back to 3D. So this is almost ready. The only problem is, will the area 3D acknowledge that we've collided with it? And the answer to that is no. So collisions in Godot follow layers. So we've clicked on the area 3D. We've got the node. Now we're going to click on the inspector. And here we'll click on collision. And here, I'm going to expand this so we can really see it. We've got collision layers and we've got collision masks. Now, a good way to think about this is layers are sort of like the plane of physics the object exists on, and masks are the things that it can interact with. So this exists on layer 1, which is fine, but it only interacts with things on layer 1. Now, I know for a fact that the player exists on layer 20. So I'm going to click 20 in the mask and add that in there. Now, we can actually hit save and we're done. This should work. We'll test it in a moment. But just a little extra thing so you know, the reason I know that the player is 20, or the way I can find that out if I don't know is a better way to say it, is here I can click on the player and I can see that it has this little kind of movie begin thing, which means it's its own inherited scene, or it's its own scene. So I'll click on that, and now we're in the player. And we can see the player has all these different parts here. But at the bottom, we got player body. So we can click on that, and then we can click on collisions for player body. And we can see that the body can hit things on all these layers, but it exists on layer 20. So that's how we would know that. We don't need to make any changes here, so we'll just close that. So now that we've made our test, we've got our kind of almost invisible capsule. And when we step through that, the door should open. So we can test this right now. So we'll hit play and make this a little bigger. Right now, here we are looking around our scene, and we'll just position our mouse so we're facing the doors directly. And now you can see WASD keys to move us around. I'll walk forward and the doors open. Great. So it worked. Now, one problem with this, which we're not going to address this time, is if I walk into the collider again, the doors open again, which means that even though they're open, they're going to keep re-triggering that animation every time I walk through there. We're not going to worry about that.